Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to Better Version, a channel that shares knowledge for holistic self-development through books. In these final days of 2023, and the blessed, peaceful moments of Christmas Eve, Better Version would like to share content from a truly meaningful and warm book by author Hinohara Shigeaki. Before we dive into today's content, I want to ask you something. What emotions do you feel when you see elderly people in nursing homes? Do you find them incredibly lonely and pitiful? And have you ever seriously pondered how old you truly wish to live? If you aspire to live to 100, for example, how would you live those several decades of old age? How would you cope with the likely loneliness when your spouse, siblings, and friends have passed on, your children and grandchildren have their own lives, and your health steadily declines, making it difficult to do many things on your own? Many elderly people live to 90. But their last 10 years are often spent grappling with helplessness, trembling hands, fading memory, and difficulty recognizing their grandchildren. However, there was a man who lived to be 100, whose mind remained lucid, who understood everything and grasped many profound truths. If such a centenarian were to sit down and converse with you right now, would you cherish those moments? Japan had such a centenarian. In his youth, he was a Japanese imperial physician and the pioneer of preventive medicine in Japan. After retirement, he wrote books, taught, and authored over 200 works. At 80, he began studying painting, music, and theater, becoming a national idol. He dedicated his entire life to serving and helping others. The person I'm referring to is Hinohara Shigeaki, also the author of the book I want to share with you today. In December 2016, at the age of 104, Hinohara Shigeaki accepted a year-long interview. During this period, his health was already quite fragile. He had suffered a fractured rib. Yet, despite his weakened physical condition, he devoted his time to personally answer 36 questions about death, life, family, friends, work, loneliness, and more. A year later, this conversation was compiled into a book that became famous throughout Japan. I'll provisionally translate its title as Living Well. Reading this work, I believe we should carefully consider every word, because not everyone has the opportunity to meet and have such a profound conversation with a centenarian and ask him how to live well, how to find peace throughout life. His answers are incredibly precious, like the most vital nectar of life he wished to impart to all of us. You'll find that when we are young, we often overlook many questions such as, what is life? What is love? How should we face old age, illness, and death? How can we live better? We usually don't ask ourselves these questions because these issues seem too vast for us to tackle. Instead, work and making a living pull us into a rapid cycle, quickly making us forget the aforementioned problems. But in reality, sooner or later, they will find you and reflect in your surroundings. Therefore, I hope you can earnestly grasp the content of this book. Although it's not an academic text or a practical tool, you can absolutely transform the profound nectar within the philosophical sayings of this venerable doctor into sweet wisdom, strength, and awakening to live a good life and achieve freedom, reaching a state of calm tranquility when facing birth, aging, sickness, and death. How should we face birth, aging, sickness, and death? The first question is about living. Living in this world for survival, each day we navigate between illusions and subservience, tossing and turning between doubts and calculations. To be liked, we make every compromise, but ultimately, we must live under the coercion of the outside world. Perhaps it's time to shed some masks and be honest with ourselves. Am I truly myself anymore? I once read a story about Zhuangzi. One day, Zhuangzi was leisurely fishing by a pond. Two officials, speaking on behalf of the king of Chu, came to implore Zhuangzi to leave the mountains and return to the capital to help the king alleviate the people's worries. Zhuangzi calmly said, I've heard that the king of Chu keeps a 1,000-year-old tortoise in his temple, letting it live amidst silk brocade, pampered to the extreme. I ask you too, would this tortoise rather die to have its bones revered by all, or would it prefer to be free, wagging its tail in the mud? The two officials replied, of course it would prefer to live freely in the mud. Zhuangzi responded, I too only wish to be free, wagging my tail in the mud. This is Zhuangzi's famous parable of the tortoise. I only wish to live well and become an authentic, free person. Hinohara Shigeaki also believed that the essence of life lies in two words, authenticity. He said, life is essentially a form of energy that cannot be seen but certainly exists. When he conversed with young people, he would ask, "Where does life reside?" The young people replied that life exists when the heart still beats and a brain is still active. Hinohara Shigeaki said that the heart is merely an organ that sustains the entire body's life, and the brain is only an organ with the function of thought. Neither the heart nor the brain can represent life itself. Life actually exists in the time we can master and control. When you are young, you primarily spend your time trying to control things outside yourself. Thus, you are often imprisoned by anxieties about money, status, and fame, unable to truly master your own time. To truly live, you must know how to master your own time of existence. One could say that your life is entirely about authenticity with yourself. You can only truly live when you can be authentic. So, what does it mean to live authentically with yourself? Authenticity only exists when you live uninfluenced by others' judgments. Often, the root of unhappiness lies in our lack of courage to be disliked. A few accusations or criticisms can make you uncomfortable and deny your true self. Be authentic with yourself by becoming more self-aware, being more tolerant, lowering your expectations of others, and not demanding perfect flawlessness. Always believe that everything is the best arrangement. Learning to go with the flow of nature will allow you to live better. Secondly, authenticity is when you discover your ideals and dreams and strive to dedicate yourself entirely to them. Finally, authenticity is when you place your ideals in helping others. You need to understand that your dreams don't lie in external things that, when you're young, you might think serve yourself. As you grow older, entering your 40s, 50s, 60s, or even 80s, you should devote more time to others. If you are willing to give more time to others, your life energy will take on an entirely new meaning. And that is the author's complete perspective on life. The second point is about aging. With the advancement of economic development and medical conditions, the average lifespan of people worldwide is increasing, even in the poorest and most underdeveloped countries. Japan is the country with the highest average life expectancy, with both men and women living beyond 80 years. As the elderly live longer, will they live happier or more fearful lives? Indeed, many people fear old age, fearing physical weakness, slow movement, loneliness, unattractiveness, lack of mental clarity, and so on. Some even think, if I get old and can't walk, I'd rather die. But Hinohara Shigeaki asserts that living long is truly wonderful. If we live long enough, we'll have more time to discover unknown aspects of ourselves. Although one cannot fully understand oneself, the joy that comes from progressively knowing ourselves is far better than the pain brought by old age and illness. No matter how old we are, we can always explore our potential and develop ourselves. Hinohara Shigeaki had a life motto: keep on going, keep on going. This principle of always moving forward stayed with him for many years, enabling him to declare that he had to live long to continuously discover joy. I was deeply moved and clearly felt his joy of living through every one of his statements. That joy spread and made me realize that one of the signs of living well is allowing oneself to begin rebirth. Hinohara Shigeaki was over 100 years old but looked younger than people his age. So, people often asked him, "How do you stay young for so long?" I thought he would say things like, "Adjust your mood, relax your mind, live a disciplined and regular life," etc. But instead, the old man smiled and said, "Take care of the beauty of your face and find something to do for yourself." At 80, he began to learn painting, design, reading, writing, and tried everything he loved. After 90, he still enjoyed conversing with young people and attending gatherings with them. After turning 100, he started researching beauty techniques and freckle removal to improve his own appearance. He said, "We must simultaneously continue our current life and experience new life. As long as people continue to evolve, they will be reborn every day." Taking care of your appearance and continuously learning new things represents the desire to care for and cherish yourself. Only then can you stay young, live long, and live a more confident and valuable life. I hope all of us can remember that living long is truly wonderful, but the key is how to live long. He wanted to live longer but didn't deliberately pursue longevity or make it his life's sole purpose, nor was he obsessed with it. So just live fully and completely each day. For everything else, let it follow the natural flow. The second thing needed to live long is sufficient movement. Many people think that movement here simply means exercising and staying healthy, but that alone isn't enough. Hinohara Shigeaki had a concept that is absolutely worth pondering. At this very moment, as I listen to you speak, my soul is undergoing a kind of movement. This kind of movement is called emotion. People nowadays are not lacking in physical movement, but in emotional movement. Many believe that regular exercise is enough, running and working out diligently every day, but their souls become increasingly rigid. They become indifferent to everything around them. In reality, you are lacking a type of movement more important than physical activity, the internal process of emotion. So, remember that emotion is a skill, something that needs to be practiced, and you also need to regularly stimulate your feelings. This is Hinohara Shigeaki's secret to longevity. Next, we will talk about illness. The interviewer learned that although Hinohara Shigeaki lived a long life, he suffered from various serious and minor illnesses since childhood. His beloved wife also endured physical pain in her final years. The interviewer asked him, "How do we cope with the pain that illness causes us?" "I am someone who greatly fears illness, especially my family or loved ones falling ill." When I read this part, I drew much inspiration from his words. He said, "Cherish illness and be grateful for the opportunity for introspection that illness brings us." He believed that the fierce clash between illness and the body is like two sumo wrestlers grappling with each other, struggling to determine victory. Illness and the body do not yield to each other but form a bond. Looked at another way, if there were no illness in this world, people would not realize how precious and important health is. When illness strikes, you can completely change your rhythm and find harmony again. And perhaps in daily life, we may not talk much with our parents, but when lying in a hospital bed, you can converse gently and have loved ones by your side for a long time. Only those who have experienced this can truly understand. Upon seeing such a perspective on illness, I immediately felt much more relieved, because sooner or later, one day you will have to face it. Whether it's contacting a hospital to reserve a bed, caring for a loved one for a few months or longer, or if you yourself are the one lying there, you will have the opportunity to allow yourself to look inward and change your way of life. I've known many people who completely changed their outlook on life after being diagnosed with a critical illness. Some were able to let go of past grievances, some became less attached to money and possessions, even giving away their assets without hesitation, because the illness itself told them that these things are not the most important in our lives. Hinohara Shigeaki said, "I have lived 105 years. As a doctor, I cured diseases and saved lives, yet daily, I never valued my own body. Now, finally, I have the chance to cherish my health. I realized this from my own illness. It is a gift bestowed upon me by heaven. Therefore, take care of yourself when you are not sick. And if someone you love is currently ill, you can tell them to be grateful for the opportunity to reflect on what this illness is trying to tell them. Share the joy of being together, be thankful for the moments you've leaned on and encouraged each other, and pray for your time together to be as long as possible." Finally, when asked about death, he said, "If you ask if I fear death, I simply do. But no matter how much I fear death, I must live life to the fullest, because death is a new beginning of life." This new beginning does not imply reincarnation, but Hinohara Shigeaki meant that after death, we can still live in the memories of others. After my wife passed away, some of my relatives and friends also left this world one by one. But because I often recall their faces, smiles, and voices, the feeling of them in my memory seems even fresher than when they were alive. This made me understand that the dead are not completely lost from our lives. On the contrary, by remembering them forever, they can be imprinted even more deeply, just as I currently feel my wife has never truly left. The feeling of being one with her became stronger after her passing. It's similar to his favorite quote from The Little Prince. "It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." My wife's death taught me that there is an invisible happiness in this world that can nevertheless be felt. Living with an emotional heart, feeling that invisible happiness, that is how he faced death. Only by living profoundly can one understand that the highest state of life is being ready to die at any moment and living fully with every step. The perception of love, birth, aging, sickness, and death is an inevitable cycle in the material world. But what about the spiritual world? The biggest question remains, what truly is love? First, let's talk about love. Hinohara Shigeaki believed that love is accepting the other person as their most authentic self. If you want to be loved more, the most important way is to express gratitude to the other person from the bottom of your heart. When yearning for love, people often use their ideal love as a standard to demand things from their partner. This is definitely not true love. Love is accepting the other person as the most authentic self they already are. If you don't accept his or her true self and only focus on your own feelings, then even if you are loved, you won't fully feel that love. If you accept the other person's true self, embracing both what you like and dislike about them, you'll be pleasantly surprised to discover their wonderful qualities. Loving the other person's true self in this way means everything about you will also be loved by that person most sincerely and passionately. If you truly love someone, no matter what mistakes they make, you will still find them endearing. When you truly accept their flaws and love them from the bottom of your heart, their imperfections and mistakes can even become things that make you smile, because this is their true self. It's truly wonderful that a 105-year-old man still possessed such a loving heart. Both loving and being loved give people great strength. However, in reality, when living together, daily trifles often lead to unavoidable anger. In such moments, we might utter hurtful words to our partners. How should we deal with this? Hinohara Shigeaki stated that, first and foremost, you must resolve to have a warm and gentle heart. If you feel the relationship with your partner is growing cold, consider if it's your fault and then find ways to improve it. Only then, when you treat your beloved with a gentle heart, even if they say angry words, you will find them, deep down, truly amusing. This thought of his reminded me of a quote by Emily Troller. Love never dies. It always maintains an eternal flame and immortal light. The existence of the world is due to it, nourishing life's burning fire. Everything has a beginning and an end, only love remains. In this limited lifespan, feel the world's truth and goodness. Give love without demanding reciprocity. Your healing of yourself is a lost part of the world that someone needs. Only selfless giving creates an immortal soul and eternal love. This is his view on love. Now, what defines a true friend? He said that having one or two true friends is enough. A true friend is someone who always wishes you the best. If you haven't seen this person for many years, but in your heart, you still wish them all the best, then this is a true friend. When making friends, trust your own feelings. If you think this person can be a lifelong friend, then 80% of the time, that will happen. And finally, we will talk about loneliness. It seems this life is inherently lonely, isn't it? People say that we come into this world alone and we leave it alone, so life is inherently lonely. However, Hinohara Shigeaki countered, "Who says life is lonely? You came into this world alone? Your mother was there. Didn't you come into this world by struggling with your mother? So from the moment you were born, you were not alone." This thought is truly wonderful. I had never heard this before. All of us have agreed that life is lonely. However, Hinohara Shigeaki tells you that you and your mother struggled together, and you entered this world with someone. Therefore, you must know that in Hinohara Shigeaki's eyes, he transformed loneliness into love, because he knew that love is the ultimate purpose of existence in every human person. One day in July 2017, Hinohara Shigeaki participated in his final interview. At that time, his old illness had recurred, and he was approaching his last moments. The interviewer cautiously asked what his next goal was. He pondered for a moment and then strongly stated, "As long as I am alive, I will continue to explore the unknown within myself." A few days later, he left this world permanently, putting a complete period on a fulfilled life. In his book, he presented his motto, "Keep on going," as a gift to everyone. He sincerely hoped that you and I would never stop on life's journey. I still remember a line from the book, The Unsayable Farewell. You know, the ending of a story doesn't matter. The only certainty about life is death. Therefore, don't let the ending strip away the light of the story. In the story of life, I hope we all cherish ourselves, be strong, and always strive to write our own stories. No matter how difficult life is, be kind to yourself, live with an authentic self so that your life story truly shines. As Hinohara Shigeaki said, definitely cherish your present self. Take good care of yourself. Live well. You will certainly love this world once again in the long years of life. I wish you to be like spring grass, full of enthusiasm, continuously striving upward and living better each day.